Every once in a while, you come across a story that feels less like a biography and more like, well, like an epic. A journey so profound, it feels like it was written by destiny itself. Today, we're going to explore one of those stories, and we're starting right here with this beautiful idea from its forward that every single one of us is on a unique journey, from a source and eventually back to that source. All right, so let's get right into it. We're diving into the life of Dr. Anupam Nagar, told in his own words from his memoir, My Journey with Sai. And I've got to tell you, this isn't just a story of this happened, then that happened. No, this is about a life completely and fundamentally changed by a spiritual calling, a true odyssey.
You know how they say every great story starts with a call to adventure? Well, for Dr. Nagar, that call wasn't some loud trumpet blast. It was more like a quiet whisper, a whisper that would end up defining his entire life.
Okay, so picture this. The year is 1982. We're in Lampolpat, in Imphal. That's the capital of Manipur. This is where it all kicks off, in these incredible, lush green landscapes of northeast India.
It all started at a community gathering, just like this one. And get this, a commanding officer from the Central Reserve Police Force just casually suggests to the Nagar family, hey, you should check out this spiritual teacher, Sai Baba. And that's it. That's the moment, the whisper of destiny we were talking about. Just a tiny seed planted in that one conversation, with no clue it was going to grow into this massive tree.
And you have to remember, at this point, he's just a kid in the 9th grade. He has absolutely no idea that this single moment has any kind of cosmic weight to it. He's just living his life, totally oblivious to this grand celestial design being woven all around him.
So once you hear a whisper like that, you have a choice, and he chose to answer it. That meant crossing a huge threshold, leaving everything he knew behind to step into a whole new world. And that journey led him to one place, a place that would change, well, everything. Parthi. And things moved fast. I mean, really fast. Just 3 years after that casual conversation, a young Anupam is on his way to the Sri Sathya Sai Institute. And those next 5 years, wow, they became the absolute foundation of his entire life. We're not just talking about school here. This was a total and profound transformation. So you're probably wondering, what is this place exactly? Parthi? Well, it's where you'll find Prasanti Nilayam. And that name literally means the abode of the highest peace. You got to understand, this wasn't your typical college campus. Not even close. It was a spiritual center, an ashram, where everything, and I mean everything, was designed to help you find inner peace and just grow. And listen to this, because this is the key point, straight from him. He says his time there wasn't about getting a degree. It was a spiritual odyssey. That place was like a beacon of light that would guide him for the rest of his life, through all the good times and the bad. Okay, so now we're getting to the real heart of the story, his time at the Institute, learning right from his mentor, who he called Swami. This is where the magic happens. This is where everything changes. The kind of education he got there was, well, it was everything. Holistic is the word. Sure, academics were there, but the real focus was way broader. You had spiritual practices like darshan and bhajans. You had intense physical training, football, cricket, even gymnastics and karate. And then you had the creative side, with things like poetry. The whole point was to build a complete person, mind, body, and spirit.
And you can just feel that sense of discipline and pride right here, can't you? That's Dr. Nagar, front and center, leading the march past on their annual sports day. Life there was full of these kinds of moments. Big, spectacular events that were all about teamwork and pushing for excellence in ways that had nothing to do with the textbook. But their passion for sports, it wasn't just about winning. It was fueled by something else entirely. He talks about this one football match, a really important one, and Swami himself shows up to watch. He calls it a divine interlude and said it just lit this unquenchable flame inside all the players. All of a sudden, a game of football wasn't just a game anymore. It became a spiritual act, like they were performing for the divine. And again, it wasn't just about being strong or athletic. The creative side was just as important. Here, for example, you see a Kavi Sammelan, which is a poetry gathering. And he remembers Swami being right there, taking it all in, not just listening to the words, but really enjoying how they were recited. He was personally nurturing their artistic side. It's amazing, really. This spiritual element was woven into absolutely everything they did, even gymnastics. Dr. Nagar writes that when Swami was there watching, their movements just transformed into a kind of worship,
Every single leap felt like a prayer. Every twist was like a hymn. So you see, they weren't just training their bodies. They were trying to reflect a kind of divine perfection.
So, after 5 incredible, sacred years, the journey's not over. Not by a long shot. Now came the hard part. Dr. Nagara had to take all this wisdom and see if it held up in the real world. He was about to face a whole new series of challenges that would test every single thing he'd learned.
And his life after leaving Parthi basically split into 2 totally different chapters. First, he's up in the misty hills of Nagaland, living deep within indigenous culture, learning so much about community and just resilience. And then, a complete 180. He moves to the sunny coast of Gujarat, going back to his family's roots to fulfill a promise to his mother.
But it was there, during one of his long commutes in Gujarat, that his journey took a sudden and violent turn. He's on the open road, and fate steps in with what he calls a fateful twist.
Out of nowhere, an auto rickshaw just veers right into his path. The collision was instant, brutal, and in a single heartbeat, the peace of that moment was just shattered.
He was literally hurled from the road, thrown, as he puts it, into the realm of uncertainty. And in that chaos, lying there injured, a group of 7 young men show up, almost like guardian angels. They rush him to get help, and they end up saving his life.
So think about it. How do you even begin to process all of that? A huge spiritual awakening, then these massive real-world challenges, topped off with a near-death experience. Wow. This last part of his story is all about putting those pieces together, finding the elixir, the real lesson from it all, and then building a life around it.
And this next part is it's an incredibly honest and powerful reflection from him. He genuinely believes that if he hadn't had that spiritual and moral foundation, the tough times and the isolation he went through early in his career, it could have sent him down a really dark path. It just goes to show how truly life-changing he felt that guidance was.
So what did he do with all this experience? He channeled it. He poured everything he learned into a lifelong mission as an educator. He completely dedicated himself to shaping young minds. As a professor, a principal, a PhD supervisor, a journal editor, you name it. He was sharing that elixir, that holistic, values-first education he received with as many people as he possibly could. And that brings us right back to where we started, with that powerful idea from the book's foreword. When you look at this entire incredible odyssey, from that first whisper of destiny in Imphal to the intense spiritual training in Parthi, and through all the tests the world threw at him, this is the final lesson his story leaves us with. And it's a great question to think about, isn't it? What does a successful journey through life really require?